Thobela. They did not teach you the common greeting yet. Someone next to you should teach you that Thobela means good morning as well. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. My name is Moses Morerwa from the University of Limpopo Marketing and Communication Division. So I'll be driving the portion of this program, which is the opening, the plenary, and then the program will move as you've seen it on the website. So it's going to be a very full day of engagement, insightful presentations, and networking later on in the day. Let me just start by acknowledging the University of Limpopo Executive Management, led by the Vice Chancellor and Principal, Professor Matlo Mokhalong, as well as the Vice Chancellor Designate, Dr. Jeffrey Mabelebele in absentia. And let me also acknowledge the Deputy Vice Chancellors for Research, Innovation and Partnerships, Professor Mutiba, and for Teaching and Learning, who has joined us here this morning, Professor Richard Madaje, the University Registrar, Prof. Masha, Dean of Students, Deans of Faculty. We have 4 faculties at the University of Limpopo, and the one housing us today is the Faculty of Science and Agriculture, and I see the Executive Dean, Professor Liseilani Mamburu. Next to him, I see the Director of the School of Mathematical and Computer Sciences, Dr. Takalani. I also acknowledge deans of other faculties who are here, heads of department, other directors of school, academics and support staff who are here. Let me take this opportunity to greet you all, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you to this venue, the Ranch Resort. So for many of you, you know it as IEEE African Conference. But for those who may not know, it's Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. So it's a gathering of Region 8, where Africa, Europe, and the Middle East meet on a single intellectual bridge. That is this 27th edition of the conference. Without wasting any time, let me take this opportunity and call to the stage for the opening and welcome address, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Teaching and Learning, Professor Richard Madaje.
Thanks very much, Program Director, Mr. Morerwa, for your warm welcome to all of us, the Vice Chancellor and Principal of the University of Limpopo, Professor Mokhalong in absentia, as well as the Vice Chancellor and Principal Designate, Dr. Mabelebele, Professor Mutiba, the Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Partnerships, the Acting Executive Dean of the Faculty of Science and Agriculture, Professor Mamburu, who is seated on your left there, and close to him we have the Director of the school, where Professor Velimpini and his colleagues are housed, Dr. Takalani, And it's only proper that we also acknowledge all of you and other esteemed guests and delegates like Professor Kramer, who is the president of Institute of Electronics Engineers for 2025, and of course for Region 8, as Mr. Murero has already alluded to acknowledge the presence of Professor Boscovich. And for today, I think at the plenary, the first part and the main guest speaker will be Professor Magedans from Germany. And of course, chairs and co-chairs and members of various committees, technical program committee, local organizing committee, and the publication committee, and of course, a conference of this nature will not occur without sponsors. And we highly appreciate their support and presence. Among others, we have Telcom, MICT, CETA, and of course from IEEE itself. And the theme of this conference is so apt: reimagine the future through the advancement of information technology. Program Director, I would like to say to all the delegates, good morning. In our tradition, you respond also by saying good morning. Good morning. I wish I could speak German. I will also do so. Maybe and say Guten Morgen. I'm not sure whether I'm right or not, but I will learn later. Colleagues, I would like to take this opportunity to, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor of the University, Professor Mokhalong, to welcome you all to this AFRICON 2025 conference, Region 8 of IEEE. A special welcome is, of course, reserved to all of you. You are all very special, whether you are a national or international delegate. I know some of you could be from Europe. As I said, we have a professor from Germany. Some of you could be from the USA. And a large number of you are from the African continent: Namibia, Zambia, Kenya, Nigeria, Mauritius. The list is endless. To us, your presence is highly appreciated, because in academia, you can only grow if you interact with your peers. Sometimes you may think you are a star when you are alone, but when you meet with other stars, you learn more, and then you can progress in life. We are therefore very grateful for your presence, and we trust the topics that you have chosen and your presentations are going to uplift humanity as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, since the beginning of time, human beings have been communicating with each other through various means. That is why I said the theme of the conference is so apt: information technology. Just imagine maybe 1 million years ago, how human beings used to communicate with each other. Perhaps they were using drums, they were using horns, they were using whistles, and sometimes they were using their beliefs, religious beliefs. that if you see a dark cloud coming, it signifies this or that. That is what they have been using. But through the ages, human beings, as one of the most intelligent species on Earth, always try to improve their conditions, always try to improve their lives. So human beings could not only rely on these traditional methods of communication, of sharing information. That is why we have had many forms of technological advancements, the industrial era or period. And today, as you know, we are now in the information age, where your profession is key, where your profession is like mandatory wherever you go. When you booked your flights to the country or even to this place, you relied on information technology. Even in our midst here, you have laptops and cell phones, which not so long ago were not there. People were using telegrams, if you recall. People were using letters. People were using traditional postage through the post offices to communicate with each other. But life brings about demands. And in your area, you are critical because you help humanity to ameliorate some of the challenges that confront it. And I'm grateful that this conference is going to touch on a lot of relevant themes and topics. Artificial intelligence, which is the in thing today, wherever you go, where some people are saying maybe in 10 years to come or so, will human beings be necessary or be required to execute some of the activities that we are currently doing? Some people are saying, even when it comes to domestic assistance or help in your homesteads or houses, we are going to depend on artificial intelligence. That even in the sector of education, we have started to apply artificial intelligence in many areas. The communication that we depend on, the information systems that we have developed can still be advanced more. Maybe something better will originate from this conference, where perhaps you are going to come up with a new technology that would even surpass artificial intelligence. And that's what we expect from you as the conference. With these very few words, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we are grateful that you are here, and we are sure that a conference of this nature will present various topics on digital platforms, virtual laboratories, and video-based learning. And from this conference, lastly, I trust many solutions that currently afflict humanity. It could be economic challenges, it could be political challenges, it could be health challenges. Your field, your profession is relevant to all these areas. And in the end, we should generate, propose, or proffer solutions that will get rid of problems that currently afflict humankind as a species. Ladies and gentlemen, and program director, many thanks for this opportunity. And once more, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, I welcome you all and wish you a wonderful conference. I thank you. Baie dankie in Afrikaans, which is close to Dutch. And those who are from Zambia or Malawi can tell us, how do you say thank you and goodbye? If there is anybody from Malawi or Zambia, nobody. DRC Congo, excellent. How do you say goodbye in your... Okay, in your mother tongue, if French is not your mother tongue? Or Jiajib. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof. That's Professor Madaje, who's the Deputy Vice Chancellor for the Teaching and Learning Project of the University of Limpopo. When you hear others say avusheni outside, do not think that they are insulting you or gossiping. It's one of the salutations we have in this beautiful province. So the University of Limpopo is one of the most diverse institutions of higher learning. So in the main, we have three tribal groupings, and they live together so well in harmony that if they were to tell you that they are from different tribes, they speak different languages, they've got different cultural backgrounds and beliefs, you would say, how possible is this? So we also have Bavenda, who would say, Ndi Macheloni. When they greet, they mean good morning. So when you leave, maybe during tea break, at least you should be knowing these three salutations. Tobela, that's Babedi, Absheni, Chitonga, and Dimacheloni. That's Chivenda. Because I think, if I may be wrong, but I want to believe this region is also the largest and perhaps the most diverse in IEEE. So there are similarities there. Thank you very much, Prof, for the opening remarks. I think colleagues will now feel much welcome and home to begin with the proceedings of today. And there is a video that colleagues will play, two videos in fact, and these videos will pave way for Dr. Akuru to come and do introduction of our IEEE president, as well as the IEEE Region 8 director. So I don't know from our technical team if we are ready with the two videos. Then Dr. Akuru, I will invite you immediately after the videos to come and do the honors of introducing the president and the director, for them to also give us remarks about the conference. While they are preparing the videos, they are on this laptop. All right. All right, our videos are ready. Dr. Akuru, could you please come to the fore and do the honors of the introduction, and then we listen to the video. Thank you very much. Let's appreciate Dr. Akuru.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, I welcome every one of you to this auspicious occasion, the IEEE AFRICON 2025 conference. My name is Udochukwu Bola Akuru. I'm standing here under some caps, but I think I will stand here first of all as IEEE South Africa Section Chair, and also as one of the organizing committees, member of the conference, and then also as a lecturer at Tshwane University of Technology. The DVC, thank you very much for that prep speech, and I think it is well on point. We appreciate the honor that you have come to open this conference for us and other distinguished guests, deans of faculties, directors, heads of department, professors, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. IEEE is one of the, so as an acronym, it means the Institute of Electrical and Electronic Engineers. It is one of the largest professional organizations in the world. I think this year we clocked once again in the second year running in excess of more than 500,000 members globally. So it's quite a big organization, and it has different regions where it supervises its reach in terms of its membership as well as its outreach. So Region 8, which we fall under here in South Africa, which is made up of Africa, Middle East, and as well as Europe, is where we fall under as IEEE South Africa section. So I just want to say that, not to waste our time, we are going to hear some remarks. First of all, we are going to hear the remark from the IEEE Region 8 Director, who will make the first remark, and thereafter we will also hear the remark from the IEEE President. So the first remark by the IEEE Region 8 Director will be given, and thereafter the President of IEEE. I think we have their speech. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it here in person, but they have sent their apologies, and they did prepare some brief speech just to motivate us further as we get into this conference. Okay, I think that is all from my side for now. I will try to give some other information about IEEE in the last day of the conference. Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity, and do have an enjoyable experience.
Colleagues, esteemed guests, and friends across Africa and beyond, welcome to AFRICON 2025. Although I cannot be with you in person, I'm honored to join you virtually in celebrating this flagship. Colleagues, esteemed guests, and friends across Africa and beyond, welcome to AFRICON 2025. Although I cannot be with you in person, I'm honored to join you virtually in celebrating this flagship conference of IEEE Region 8. AFRICON has always been more than a conference. It's a gathering of those who are shaping the future of technology across the continent and the world. This year, under the banner of One IEEE, we are reminded of our call to be a part of transformational leadership, and that our strength lies in unity across regions, disciplines, and generations. As As we share knowledge, present breakthroughs, and build collaborations, we continue a proud tradition of advancing technology for humanity. One IEEE at AFRICON means that each paper, each dialogue, and every partnership formed here can contribute not only to technical excellence, but to the empowerment of communities to strengthen our shared future. Despite my not being able to join you in person, please know I'm inspired by your dedication and by the energy that you brought together at AFRICON. My thoughts and support are with you as you embark on this exciting program of discovery and collaboration. Welcome to all of you, and may AFRICON 2025 be a celebration of innovation, community, and impact. Thank you, and enjoy the conference.
Dear colleagues, dear guests of the AFRICON 2025 and dear organizer, I'm happy to welcome dear colleagues, dear guests of the AFRICON 2025 and dear organizer, I'm happy to welcome you to this flagship conference of the Region 8. I'm sorry that I'm not able to join you in person, but with the help of technology, I'm sharing this message with you. I'm very proud of the organizer that succeeded in organizing this excellent event, and I'm sure that all of you will have a really good experience of sharing knowledge, getting acquaintance with new colleagues, with new friends, and start long-lasting friendship and cooperation. I'm also very happy that this flagship conference, AFRICON, has continuity, and I hope that in the next edition I will be able to join you in person and participate in this significant event. All the best and success in your work in the following days.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate the President and the Region 8 Director once more. And thank you very much, Dr. Akuru, for introducing them to us. Prof. Madaje did indicate that Africa had its own way of doing things, and one of those things were that it wasn't happening, the innovation wasn't happening in the laboratory. It began with libraries of Timbuktu, preserved knowledge at a scale that was never imagined it could happen. And at the time, such communication we're going to discuss today was not there. And it also began early during Nile engineering, when the irrigation systems that puzzled the ancient world were also created. So one would wonder, at that point in time, and now when we reimagine according to the theme, do we carry along some of the intelligence that we had, the olden ways of doing things, how the great Zimbabwe rose without a single drop of mortar at the time? The question has always been that I see online, people ask, in the advent of these technologies, information science, where humanity is, are we able to take it along as we reimagine the world, the global village that has been created by these technologies? Are we able to carry along humanity and say, ethically, this community, as much as they need this technology, but 1, 2, 3 must remain because it is who they are, their identity. And as you discuss, I see the themes here and the sub-themes do touch even other aspects of life, if not every aspect. I mean, in the Faculty of Humanities from the University of Limpopo, obviously, they would still rely on artificial intelligence, on new technologies in order to communicate. And the information technology part, when communication is added, it even makes it very tricky, because how, for instance, do you go back to the village and make this technology, this innovation that we talk about, include them? How do you make this technology work in remote areas where energy is sought after? There are even areas where there's not even enough network to use such electronics. So, colleagues, as today you are going to engage, I think it is my profound pleasure to welcome you to this beautiful province, those who are coming from overseas, abroad. So you are in Limpopo province, and the city of Polokwane is where you are. It's just around a few kilometers to the east of where we are. And Polokwane means a place of safety. So I guarantee you that you are safe. Relax, sit back, and enjoy the conference. And from the University of Limpopo, we are broadcasting this live. So colleagues at the university and other parts of the world are able to watch these proceedings and get to see what you are going to come up with, the latest trends, developments in your sector. So the University of Limpopo is the university of the late President Nelson Mandela. So he was once the chancellor of this noble university. At the time it was called the University of the North. And it is known in the country as the cradle of leadership. We have the University of Fort Hare that produced the Nelson Mandela, for the Walter Sisulu generation. And since then, the University of Limpopo has taken that role, and it's well known as the producer of leaders in different aspects of society. And at some point, I think it had two sitting presidents, the president of Malawi, His Excellency Professor Chagwera, and the president of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, who I think is still the sitting president. He has walked the corridors of this university. So you are hosted by a university with a bold mission of finding solutions for Africa. And I think this region is a fitting decision that the university hosts it. And we thank the colleagues in the school, in the department, Prof. Velempini, as the chair of the local organizing committee, and your team. Thank you so much for putting together this. So we are going now to break into our different sessions. The breakaway sessions, if you look at your programs, they are available online. I think Prof. Velempini is going green. When I asked where the program, he said, no, the program is online. So, colleagues, you would see the program there for the duration of the conference until the 12th is there on different days. Prof, I think you can come and give me a note if there's a note before we break into the different sessions. And then I do not know if, Prof, you are going to introduce the final speaker. All right. I thought there was someone who's going to introduce our plenary speaker as we head into the different breakaway sessions. I will just sift it through from the program. So we are going to have a keynote address by, if I happen to, normally I would ask the speaker to say, how do we pronounce your surname? So I did not have the opportunity to do that. So if I butcher the surname, I ask for pardon in advance, for forgiveness in advance. So our keynote speaker will talk about enabling an open 6G for all in Africa by the open research infrastructures and toolkits initiated, enabling an open 6G for all in Africa by the open research infrastructures and toolkits initiative. So ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome to the podium our keynote address from TU Berlin, Professor Thomas Megadaz. Let's appreciate Professor Megadaz to give us a keynote address.
Okay, I hope someone is going to show the screen. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Hello, hello. I think we should switch to a big screen. Hello? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, test.
All right. Prof, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I hope you can hear me.
We just working on sound from this side to connect your sound.
Okay, I keep on.
In the meantime, you can teach me how to pronounce your surname while we test the sound.
Magadans, but you were pretty close.
Yeah, no, I was very close. Thank you very much. Makadas.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. I think we are good this side with sound. Please take it away. Ladies and gentlemen, let's appreciate Prof. Mekadas again.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, one important question to the organizers: how long I'm supposed to speak? Because according to the program, I should have started already 34 minutes ago, right? So the question is, do we ship the whole program? So give me just a time frame I'm allowed to talk.
Prof, you are given 30 minutes as per the program.
Okay, good. I should be able to do so. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to be virtually with you. It's really a pity that I can't make it to Polokwane. I would have loved to be with you on site. So, my name is Thomas Margedans. I'm, on the one hand, professor at the university in Berlin, the Technical University in Berlin, one of the biggest universities in Germany. And I'm also becoming honorary professor at Cape Town University starting from January. And I will tell you why this is the reason. I'm going to share with you my screen, hopefully, and you should now see this presentation. Let's see that this is going to work. So, okay, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you are. Oh, okay, what was this? No, that. Okay, so I'm really pleased to be here with you in Polokwane and give you some insights on an initiative which I created with some friends some 3 years ago. And we are hoping that with this initiative, namely the open research infrastructures and toolkits initiative, which is a workshop series bringing together researchers from all over the world to enable this mission of creating an open 6G for all around the world, but also particularly in Africa. And so you will get access to the slides anyhow, so you don't need to write down all this, what I'm saying. Nevertheless, if there's any kind of recording of this speech, I'm okay with it. I'm happy with it to be distributed to all the researchers and students in Africa. So, of course, the first question typically popping up in countries like South Africa or Vietnam or Brazil is the question, why is 6G relevant for us? Because we are struggling still with the deployment of 5G, and we don't have any capacities to look into the bright future of overwhelming sixth generation of mobile communications. Well, the point is that the 6G research is driven by a lot of needs which are omnipresent in developing countries and emerging countries. And so, therefore, there's a lot of opportunities to really look at 6G specifications, developments right from the beginning to give it also your own solutions. Let's talk it that way. But in principle, before continuing my discussion about this, I just want to tell you what this talk is about. So we will talk about why 6G in Africa. What is 6G in principle? You will learn that it is not necessarily some super new technology. It might include, but it will be a much better 5G, and it's going to limit the problems which we currently see with 5G infrastructures and their deployment. I want to introduce this Open 6G for All mission to understand what is the target, namely to build local skills, local technologies to create sovereign infrastructures in all countries of this world, to build your own independent infrastructure. Part of this Open RIT initiative is also an open source, low cost infrastructure project, which has been initiated by the Technical University of Berlin and the University of Cape Town. We started this some 2.5 years ago, and it's an open initiative, and we hope to get lots of African universities and research organizations into this initiative. I also want to introduce briefly an quite promising project funded by the European Commission, which is called Digit Africa, in order to build up research infrastructures for digital science on the African continent with several partners from different countries in Africa, including also South Africa. Just briefly, I want to touch what I'm doing in addition to my university work, because I'm also working for Fraunhofer, the biggest research organization in Europe, with more than 35,000 researchers doing applied research. And we have to work with the industry. And we have, since many years, developed software-based networking toolkits for network operators and well-known companies around the globe, but also for universities. This is not open source, but at least it should also show you a way how research organizations can produce something like a product in order to change the world for the better. So my hope is that I could inspire you, even when only being virtually with you, to join our initiatives, and I would be happy to touch base with you after this talk in the next days, weeks, months, while I'm also here in Cape Town, because since a couple of years I'm also living in the summer in beautiful Cape Town. So going back to what is 6G and why 6G in Africa. So again, when you talk to network operators, you will hear mostly around the globe that 5G is a disaster, a financial disaster, because in the very end, it is a lot of investment into a very powerful technology, which is costly. And on the other hand, the promises to make more money with the network infrastructures are not fulfilling. The reason is that every normal customer doesn't want to pay more money for mobile data. You probably also recognize you are paying less and less for getting more and more gigabyte per week, months, whatever. But also we see that the digital transformation of the industries, namely the industrial IoT, where 5G is considered a key solution, is still not really happening. Yeah? So enterprises are currently a little bit slow in adopting this expensive technologies. I have led quite big projects in Germany, because Germany is considered one of the pioneers in private 5G. And we see that it is a complex technology, it's an expensive technology, and it needs a lot of assistance and knowledge to make use of it and to calculate a business model. Nevertheless, there's a lot of lessons learned after 5 years of 5G deployments in Europe. And basically, this is a starting point to think about 6G, because 6G particularly is starting to address the limitations of 5G in terms of what kind of spectrum has to be used. Is it shared spectrum? Is it free spectrum? Is it dynamic spectrum sharing? The softwareization of networking components is continuing. We see a really dramatic impact of artificial intelligence in not only network automation, but also in the design and control of networking architectures. And last but not least, very important to mention, is also the seamless inclusion of non-terrestrial networks. So particularly to provide coverage in an economical way in areas where terrestrial infrastructures do not make so much sense. So in this regard, 6G offers a lot of opportunities. And if you take a look at the ITU recommendations in the context of the IMT 2030 framework, there are quite a lot of interesting pointers. And one of these is connect the unconnected. Yeah? So this technology particularly should address the needs of many, let's call it disadvantaged areas and people to be connected with the rest of the world. And exactly this is where I personally want to start. I have the privilege to come from Germany, a high-tech country, but honestly, we also have a lot of white spots in Germany which are not connected at all, and we have a lot of complaints from the communities, farmers, industries, that they are not having the right internet access to do proper digital business. So there is, on the other hand, quite a lot of commonality to work jointly on potential solutions. So in order to connect the unconnected, and what we have learned also in Germany and Europe the hard way in the last 2-3 years with the Ukraine war, sovereignty. Sovereignty is key. You don't know whether your friends you have are still your friends in a couple of years. So it is important to have local skills, local industries, local communication technologies in order to run the, let's call it, central nervous system of a digital society. And exactly this is what we are aiming to enable with this initiative. So I don't have the time to do a 6G tutorial, but I just want to briefly explain to you that on the one hand, 6G is an evolution of 5G in terms of higher frequency uses. In the beginning, people talked about terahertz communication, but nevertheless, we are going up in the frequency range. Nevertheless, also 6G, like 5G, is used also in the vintage 2G, 3G, 4G, and 5G bands. We see, however, some innovation in the radio part, which means integrated sensing and communication. So this is where the radio signal is used as a radar signal. So this means your base station becomes a radar system and can somehow supervise, monitor the environment based on movements or detection of objects. So this is where particularly a lot of AI is going to be used in order to recognize specific items, persons, movements, and the like. Another important aspect to mention, as stressed before, the inclusion of non-terrestrial networks. So since 5G, a lot of people talk about 5G and satellite network integration, but with 6G, we will see a real full integration of the network architectures, and this will allow a really seamless communication. Obviously, you see new handsets which offer already kinds of satellite emergency SMS services, and in the future you will see a commonality of service access, and it doesn't matter whether you are connected to a 6G, 5G satellite network. The 6G infrastructures should be able to seamlessly connect you. We see a lot of artificial intelligence. We see new end-to-end architectures because in the very end, we talk about new applications and use cases. 5G has shown the way that the industrial revolution, smart factories, smart hospitals, smart mining, smart harbors, smart cities are depending on a seamless, rich communications infrastructure. And this is going to continue. Just briefly reflecting on the architectural side, we have seen in the past that open source developments, but also modular architectures, Open RAN is one example. We have already this kind of plug-and-play design in the core networks since many years, allow for creating very customized networks. Some people talk about network slicing. I rather prefer the name have a complete, dedicated, customized overlay network for given applications. So this is what 6G will be in the future. You don't need specific features, then skip these features and have a vanilla implementation for the functions you need, and therefore a much smaller footprint of the software which is running the networks. Why I'm stressing today on 6G, when people might know 6G is going to happen in 2030. So in 2030, we see probably the first 6G networks and the first 6G products. Well, we are right now in the start of the standardization, which means, and those who know how standardization works, it takes a longer time to develop a common view on future technologies. There's a lot of discussions about patents and stuff like this. But long story short, typically standardization takes 3 to 4 years until you have a valid product in your hand. And ideally, This is what is now starting, and this means that it is a good time also for countries like South Africa and other African countries to actively participate in the standardization to create your view of 6G. Yeah? So therefore you see here the time plan, which typically is happening, and of course a lot of international research programs feed into this kind of standardization. Important also, just stressing it again, in the beginning people thought 6G will be revolutionary, something completely new, radically new, based on new technologies. However, there is a forum which is called the Next Generation Mobile Networking Alliance, and this is a grouping of major network operators around the globe, basically the main customers for 6G technologies. And they have said, we don't want a completely new technology, we want an evolutionary technology which allows us to reuse as much as possible 5G. Yeah? So this is one thing to keep in mind, and this is just a pointer to the unconnected, which you can see here on the right-hand side of the diagram, which is one of these key aspects to be addressed by this future 6G technology, which is called IMT 2030 in this specific context. Okay, so the story is there is no one size fits all network, which is good to be a public network operator network or to be a localized private network in a mine, in a harbor, or maybe in a farming environment. Those networks have quite different requirements and could be implemented in many different ways. And I've even not addressed that you might have a video surveillance or video communication network for a local settlement in order to allow some better community applications. So therefore, we believe it is important that people around the world, the researchers, but also the young developers, get as early as possible access to this new emerging technology. Why? Because we see there are hundreds of different use cases, and exactly these use cases are quite important for deploying a networking technology to solve a very specific need. And this means you knowing your own community, your own business context, probably are the best designers for a solution. And this solution, this communication infrastructure solution, ideally is kind of a plug and play Lego brick kind of system. So you have software components you can combine in order to build your own networking infrastructure. So when this is, and maybe at the first glance it looks already threatening, but this is a very high level simplified view of an end-to-end architecture. And this end-to-end architecture for a networking infrastructure which sits in between the end user systems. You may think about a smartphone, but ideally it is a kind of robot, vehicle, unmanned, whatever. And on the other side, we have the controlling applications, which also get access to the data of this end system in order to provide a useful service. So in between this sits the radio access network technology, which might be a non-terrestrial network, so low Earth orbit satellites, high altitude platforms, whatever seems to be appropriate in this context, even drones in some situations. We have the 4G, 5G infrastructure, and we have the upcoming, probably not terahertz, but higher frequency 6G infrastructures. Behind this, we have a core network, basically the network which interconnects different radio access networks, including maybe even fixed networks for fixed mobile convergence. But this core network is basically controlling all connectivity, all the sessions. It does authentication of the users, the end systems, the subscriber management. It might do charging, mobility management, and the like. So this is the real brain of a communications infrastructure, because it also provides the required quality of service. On top of this, we have a monitoring and management platform which takes care for the proper operation of this telecommunications infrastructure. And this, of course, might be, and it is already since years, augmented by artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms in order to do better network operations and disaster predictions to avoid the dramas in the networking infrastructure. In the past, in research, we have seen the notion of openness happening in this architecture, open source implementations, flexible regimes for dynamic spectrum management, modularity of components, of functionalities, open APIs to extend network capabilities to third parties, open business models, particularly to see who's making money with connectivity, with data, and the like. Yeah? I don't want to go too much into the details here, but in principle, when we use the name open, then we can take a look at it or an architecture from many different angles. I don't want to go into the very details, but I just want to stress openness. And I'm personally working since more than 35 years on open communication system, has a lot of possibilities. It allows you for vendor independence because you see more competition. You might have, of course, more innovations because different components in the architecture might be implemented in different ways and providing different capabilities. On the other hand, the problem with openness, of course, is the integration of components, because if some component is changed, you don't know whether the whole system is still doing what it should be doing and the like. Yeah? We see this currently with Open RAN, where the radio access network is composed by different components. And this, of course, is really changing the whole business model of the network vendors. However, we also see that there's a lot of complexity in assuring performance, security, and let's say proper operation of the infrastructures. AI, and I know that also at AFRICON we talk a lot about AI, is of course everywhere in this architecture. And there is something which currently is called AI RAN, an evolution of Open RAN to make use of artificial intelligence for smart access networks. But the same is true for network automation in the core networks and in principle for end-to-end networks. We see AI in applications, we see AI in the end systems to provide specific services, optimized services for the users. So this is a major paradigm change in the future to see how these existing architectures, emerging architectures, are really working together with an AI availability at different parts. So we may talk about user agents, RAN management agents, core agents. Some of you may have heard about agentic core networks. And we see, of course, agents to do the end-to-end management of the infrastructure. Okay, so this is basically the environment we talk about. And of course, when university students should start working on this kind of infrastructure, it's a nightmare. You have seen already what are you going to do in this very complex networking environment, which on the one hand is constituted by legacy technology, 4G, 2G, 3G in your country, as well as 5G, and now we talk about 6G. And we have the different use cases, being it network operator networks, being it mining, farming networks, or even local community networks. So how to build this infrastructure to allow students to work with it, to do innovative research and developments with this. And this is the reason why we started this initiative, Build Your Own 6G Network, this open 6G for all mission. Yeah? We want to bring people together, sharing their good and bad experiences in order to build up efficient, low-cost research infrastructures, which can help the education, but particular are also enabling the development and the research of new, innovative, local solutions. So the whole story started long ago, some 10 years, I would say, even 13 years. You see, there is a project I created at the Technical University in Berlin, funded by the German Academic Exchange Service. And this was called the UNIFI project, Future University Internet. And based on this idea, we reinitiated this as the Open 6G RIT initiative. So let me just try to explain you what we did in the very past. In the very past, the idea was, in order to collaborate, and you have heard it today in the opening speech, researchers think they are superstars. They have to talk to the other superstars in order to prove that they are superstars. So the idea is you need a common basis to talk. And ideally, this is a common know-how base, ideally a common infrastructure. So in this project, which somehow tried to bring together universities in the Southern Hemisphere, so Hanoi University in Vietnam, Chulalongkorn University in Thailand, Cape Town University, and University de Chile. So the idea here was to set up similar open source testbed infrastructures, in those days 3G networks and 4G research networks, and to have common lectures on top of this, and ideally create joint projects which allow for the cooperation of the researchers to develop common solutions. So, and basically this is more or less the same idea which we are trying to achieve with this Open 6G for All vision. We created, once I was in my sabbatical at Cape Town University, this Open 6G RIT initiative. We do it together with our friends in Paris, Sorbonne University, in Japan, Aki Nakao. We have Manu Gojin from Northeastern University in the US. We have Joyce from Cape Town University, and we have myself from the German 6G platform. So basically, we said, let's work together, and we created a workshop in March 24, where we brought together all these different researchers. And since then, we are running workshops to bring together the different communities. The most recent workshop happened in Globecom in Taipei this week on Monday. And not that this is just an umbrella to bring together researchers. We have a very concrete initiative, and this is the Open 6GNet Open Source Initiative. And this is what I want to introduce to you now and briefly discuss about Digit Africa, as time is probably soon running out. So in principle, think about this overall architecture I've shown to you, and you see in the middle this Open 6G Net logo. So the idea of this open source initiative is a quite simple one. So when I was sitting together with my team and we have seen that many students are approaching us to work on 5G, we said we don't have the capacity to let all students work on our university laboratory. So can we bring the laboratory to the student? Can the student implement a simple 5G network on his own laptop? And basically, this is what we are currently doing based on open source technologies, which we allow students in 90 minutes to get started with a small own 5G network. Obviously, without an antenna system, but with a simulator in our lab, there is a small antenna system. But the idea is, let's create a low-cost infrastructure, which of course is also very important for countries where there is not too much money available for research. So this is basically what we are doing together since a while with Cape Town University. We have this 5G in a box solution. And basically you see here on this view graph just the setup of this very small 5G infrastructure where we have the necessary software on a smartphone to act as a user's end system. And then we have small antenna systems and we have the core network and the applications running on a laptop. And basically this is how we attract new students to work with us, and they should start working at home with this technology. Yeah? So the point is what we are doing, to give you an example, and this is also funded by the German government, we have a low-cost platform, which we call the nomadic node. And this nomadic node runs here, for instance, in this vehicle, which is on the left-hand side. And basically this vehicle is connecting to robots, which are farming robots, doing analysis of the infrastructure. And based on our open source infrastructure, we allow multimedia communications in case there is some trouble happening. So we are using open source SIP technologies on top of this 5G infrastructure to share videos, pictures, and the like, in terms there is any kind of trouble in this kind of farming context. This is just one example to show you that we can bring network connectivity to places where there is no public connectivity available. We take advantage here of local frequencies in Germany, but at least in South Africa, there is a sandbox concept. So universities can also play around with 5G frequencies as long as operators are not using the frequencies in these areas, right? This kind of cooperation, working together with Sorbonne University, Cape Town University, Technical University of Berlin, has resulted in the definition of a project. And this project, I don't want to go into details, take a look at the website. Since 1 year, we are running this project, and this project is about supporting in different countries in Africa with the support of European players like us to build up a research infrastructure for digital sciences. And basically what I told you, what we are doing here as well with Cape Town University, having a nomadic 5G network for the Karoo area, which is basically a copy clone of what we are doing in Germany, but based on a collaborative approach. We want to copy clone this as a blueprint for localized, low-cost 5G networks across Africa. Yeah? And so here you see some universities from Africa. So we have people from Kenya and other African countries in this project. Okay, so just briefly to give you a small outlook, and I only use another 3 minutes, I'm promising. Okay, I'm in a research organization. And the question is, how do you become famous in a research organization? Particularly when you are running research projects. And you know, as it is as a researcher, your projects come and go. You need to create a kind of brand, a kind of infrastructure, software, which could live on even beyond the lifetime of a project. We have learned this pretty early, some 20 years ago, when we developed the first open source um, um, software platform. And basically, this is just the background of the Open60 core. So long ago, we implemented the open source SIP Express router, which was changing the way of telecommunications all around the world, open source as a foundation. So then we got a paycheck from Intel, 2 million euro. Please implement an open source IMS, basically the service platform for 3G. And with this, we have run a lot of projects. We licensed this source code all around the world, built up lots of test beds all around the world. Then we moved on, understanding that the core network becomes quite important. IoT platforms become important. NTN networks become important, and satellites, and of course now 6G. So long story short, we created with all these toolkits playgrounds, test beds on national and international level. And this is why we are very well known around the globe. And in principle, this is some example where our technologies are deployed. You see, we have a quite global footprint, even what is not seen on this slide. Brazil is also one of our partners in this context. So therefore, we have built this Open60 core. It's not open source, it's a licensed software. We license the source code to research partners. It's cheaper to buy the software rather than to invest 3 years of developments with the own team. And what is important, without the details of the architecture, we got support from Deutsche Telekom and Telefonica. So our target is we want to support network operators in mastering the convergence or the evolution of a 5G network towards a flexible 6G network infrastructure. And what we are doing with these players, and we are currently also adding Vodafone and Orange as network operators to this list, we are doing the prototyping of new ideas for standardization. Yeah? Operators are keen to have a more flexible solution in the networks, and they want to see this in the standardization happening and to provide evidence that this is possible. We are doing it together with the network operators or for the network operators. So this is just to show you that we can have additional functionalities, and particularly this is aiming to become an AI enabling platform. We have a roadmap for this, but this is another, let's call it another topic. So in principle, I hope that I have given you some inspirations, and hopefully you are somehow got some appetite to join our Open6G Net development community to build your own 5G network in your university, in South Africa, in neighbor countries, all around the world. It's an open initiative where we want to unite enthusiasts. Yeah? We want people contributing to the developments we are doing, and it's basically best practices of open source software to be shared and put into useful blueprints to allow an easy setup of network infrastructures. And of course, we have the academic backend to this, which is Open60 Net workshops. We will hopefully run one in Kuala Lumpur at IEEE WCNC and IEEE NetSoft next year, but we also have the Open RIT workshops, which are happening at Globecom and ACM SIGCOM. So I hope to see some of you pretty soon. And again, this is a strong collaboration with Cape Town University, and Joyce Mangala is one of the leading principal investigators in this context, so you may also reach out to her. Thanks for your attention, and I'm happy, if time permits, to take any questions.
Thank you very much, Prof, for your presentation.
Hello.
I will allow members in the room for questions. We'll take the first 3 rounds of questions whilst Prof is still online. Do we have any questions
I'm not sure whether
for
you
Prof?
guys are still listening to me. I hope you have listened to me.
Can you hear us, Prof?
Yes, good.
All right.
There's life on the other side. Good.
Wonderful. We thank technology. Any questions for Prof? Prof, it means your presentation was elegant, straight to the point. They understood every detail of your presentation. They are here smiling without any questions. Thank you very much, Prof, for joining us and for your presentation.
Yeah, let's say thanks for having the opportunity to reach out to you guys and the IEEE AFRICON community. I hope the next edition I could join personally, but in the meantime, I hope that interested researchers and students are approaching Cape Town University and myself if interested in this, in my opinion, quite important topic to build local skills for the back end of the connectivity infrastructure.
All right, Prof, we are looking forward to seeing you the next time you join. For the moment, you can grab your cup of coffee as we are going to do the same from this end. Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay, take care and a successful event. Let's stay tuned. Bye-bye.
Very much. We are headed for tea break, but some announcements before we do that. All the presenters for the morning session, you are requested to load your presentation. You will find our workstation at the back in the foyer. Please load all your presentations as we prepare for the breakaway sessions. And then session chairs. Please note that you are requested to at least be in the venue 5 minutes before the session could start, so that you acclimatize with the environment. You have your PC ready in the presentation 5 minutes before. And our tea break is going to be for 30 minutes. Let me look at time. So which means if we break at 10:25, then 30 minutes. And for session chairs, meaning you'll have your tea break for 25 minutes. The other 5 minutes is for you to be in the venue and prepare. So our breakaway rooms are going to be 4, including the room we are in. So this room is called Makulu. So those who are going to be in Makulu Hall, please note the venue is this one. And then session 1C is going to Merlin 2. And then session 1B The venue is Garden Room for session 1B. And then session 1A, this hall Makulu, and session 1D, Rose Room. Session 1D, you are going to Rose Room. So don't worry about finding the rooms. We have ushers outside, so they will have a paper indicating the name of the room. So all you need to know is the name of the room, and then you will have ushers. Then they will conduct you to the relevant rooms. Just to repeat, session 1C, you are going to Merlin 2. So when you see Merlin 2, then you know you follow the usher to that room. Session 1B, Garden Room. And then session 1A, you don't have much to worry about. This hall, Makulu Hall. And then session 1D, Rose Room. And then lunch will be for an hour. So session chairs, please mind the time. The lunch should be at 1 o'clock up to 2 o'clock for an hour. And then we return to the rooms. And then we are going to break again around 4:15 in the late afternoon session for 30 minutes. And then to close it off, we're going to have the welcome reception. So the details of the session will be announced in the breakaway sessions for the late afternoon welcome reception. But it should start at 6:30 in the afternoon. 6:30 in the afternoon. Thank you very much. I think from this point, we are ready. Oh, yes, sir. Which session? 12:15. Let's see. It should be session. Let me just check the program so we are sure. Oh, 12:15 to 1300 hours. The one for 45 minutes. I see. I don't have the venue here. Prof Velembini, where is the R8 going to take place? I don't have the venue here. I only have breakaway sessions for the presentations. The meeting of R8, because it will be after the morning sessions. I think they will notify in those breakaway sessions. Thank you very much, Prof. Please do inform the session chairs so they can announce the venue for the R8 meeting. All right. Thank you very much, colleagues. Please enjoy your tea break, network, talk to one another, learn one another's languages, and have fruitful breakaway sessions and presentations. Thank you very much. We are done with the plenary.